So before we start, just a little about me. My name is Jesse Sestito. I'm the Regional Director of Asia for Cprop. I'm actually based here in Korea near Busan. In my past, from 2006 until early this year, I was a part of Geneva Biotech. It's a forensic and genetic testing laboratory in southwest China, in Chengdu. It's actually the co-founder, and I served in a bunch of different roles in the company over the years. COO, HRD, Director of International Business Development. We had some really big successes at that company. We became and still are the largest relationship testing provider in China. We're also the only company whose results are recognized by the U.S. government. Education-wise, I did my bachelor's and a master's of accounting at Ohio State University. I did a Master's of Information System and an MBA at the University of Cincinnati. I'm actually originally from Cincinnati. And then I'm also a licensed CPA, so I spent the first couple of years of my career as a CPA before going to China. And then I want to start with the team because I think, I was talking with Inger earlier on, no matter what the idea you have is, the real important thing is the team, because over time your idea and the product, the problem you think you're solving for, it's always going to adapt and change, but what determines the success is the team, because they're the ones that have to execute. So I want to take a little bit of time to introduce our three co-founders, because I think they're very important to the success of the company, because it's only through their leadership and execution that the company is going to be successful. So this guy on the left is Adam Kohler. Adam, his background is in design, so he co-founded a company called .loop, and that company was sold in 2015 to Zillow. Zillow is like the largest property portal in the U.S. .loop, what they did basically was to purchase agreements, real estate purchase agreements, and put them online. So the real estate industry in the U.S. is still very inefficient, very manual, very offline. At that time, purchase agreements were still going back and forth through fax machines. And what Adam and his team did was brought all that online into a product, a system called .loop, which is now a part of Zillow. Sandy Selman, the gentleman you see in the middle, he's a mechanical engineer by education, and then he spent most of his career in investment banking and venture capital. He actually managed a $100 million fund focused on clean tech investments, mainly in Asia. That fund was called Asia West. And then Sandy and Luke Sestito, our third co-founder, also founded a company called Sanus Connect. What Sanus Connect does is develop energy and new technology solutions for commercial real estate management companies. So their largest client is Jones Lang LaSalle. So you have Adam on this side, who has a successful exit and experience in the residential side of real estate, in particular in the transacting part. And you have Luke and Sandy, who have extensive experience in both venture capital as well as in new technologies as applied to real estate. So it was these three gentlemen that came together in 2017, March of 2017, to start Cprop, Crypto Properties, which is our company. And I think it's important to start with the strategy, because that sort of determines the overall direction of the company. So one thing that's important for us, and this is something I was talking about earlier, is starting with the problem. So not only these three co-founders, but also myself, we're really interested in new technologies, but we're also interested in solving problems. We want to solve problems that help make our users' lives easier, more efficient. Everyone has enough to worry about. We want to develop solutions in this space that help make the space much more efficient and transparent for everyone involved. And we want to develop solutions that can be applied today. So we're really focused on solving problems that we can solve right now. And then in terms of blockchain, we're big believers in blockchain, but we also know this is a new technology. So how we apply it, we want to be very methodical, and we want to apply it in a way that can be used today and that maximizes commercial value. So we don't want to use blockchain just for the sake of using blockchain. And then also very important, and this is from Sandy's background as a venture capitalist, as everyone knows, whenever you create a business, one of the most important things you want to be able to do is scale it. It's only from scaling it that you can get that big exit that everybody is looking for. And so you'll see that one of the key parts of our product is that we integrate with larger players in the industry, and this is we think, gonna help ensure our scalability. And then finally, because we also have an ICO coming up, we want to implement a tokenized model that's linking the usage of our system with the value of the overall ecosystem. All right, so because we're going to talk about real estate today, I just want to give everybody some context. Hopefully, there's some interesting facts here that that everyone can take away. So the U.S. housing market, whether you're in the U.S., Korea, China, it doesn't matter where you're at. Real estate is the world's largest asset class. It's a huge market. Everybody knows this. In the U.S. alone, we have about 2 million licensed real estate professionals. What does that mean? Usually that means an agent. That's somebody who helps you buy or sell your house. In the U.S., 87% of people, so most people, when they buy their house or sell their house, they're going to use an agent to help them buy and sell their property. In the U.S., 51% of buyers are finding their homes online. And then for foreign buyers, this number, as of March 2017, during that preceding year, there was $153 billion of inbound property purchases into the U.S. And then the top 5 countries that invested, you can see here, China is the big player, Canada, the UK, Mexico, and India as well. So what we have is we have lots of inbound real estate transactions, residential real estate transactions into the U.S. The average purchase price for these inbound transactions is about $500,000. The interesting thing here is that for an average home purchase price for a U.S. buyer is about half of that. So these inbound purchases they must be from people who have money. They're all buying houses that are more expensive than what most Americans are buying. And then the average closing time. So when we talk about closing time, that means after we agree on a price, if you say, okay, I'll give you $500,000 for the house, I say, okay, we shake hands. There's still a lot of transactions that have to happen, a lot of documentation that comes after that. In the U.S., the average closing time is 50 days. And during a typical buy, a buyer is going to sign his or her name 108 times. The seller, even more. To sell your house, you have to sign your name 132 times. I bought a house in Korea. I didn't sign my name, but I think you only have to sign like 5 or 6 times. It doesn't take 132 times. So you can see the U.S., because it's a highly litigated society, it's highly manual, and there's tons of inefficiencies that there's room to solve for. Okay, so what do we make? Simply put, we make a real estate transaction management system. That system integrates into existing property portals, and the goal of that system is to make long distance and overseas transactions more transparent, more efficient, more secure for everyone involved. So for the property portals, for the buyers, for the sellers, for the agents, for everyone involved. So who are our users? Well, one is the property portals, so property listing websites. So if you think about property portals in the U.S., you can think of Zillow or Trulia. Singapore, you have Property Guru. China, you have Truwide. I'm sure Korea has its own. In every place, you have different property listing websites. So these are our target partners, and those are our main users who we need our system to integrate with. And then you have buyers and sellers. Of course, as a buyer, I want to be able to see my transaction from start to finish on the system and to be able to see where it is at any point in time. And the same with sellers. And then as an agent, typically agents are the ones responsible for really moving a deal forward, for being able to keep track of all these documents and making sure that everything is finalized so the property can change hands. And then you also have other service providers that support a transaction. So if I'm selling my house, obviously I have to move somewhere else. So I'm gonna need home mover, I'm gonna need a home inspector for that new house, I might need financing from a bank, I'm gonna need insurance, depending on, which location I'm moving. If I'm in the US, if I'm moving from a place that never has tornadoes to a place that has tornadoes, I'm gonna need an insurance broker that's an expert in insuring for, that particular environment. So these are the users of our portal. Now at this point, most people say, okay, that's great, but how are you guys different? And I think this is a question that we get a lot. So what we've done is we've created a competitive analysis. I'm not going to go through the entire thing in detail here, but I encourage everyone to visit our website. You can read the entire thing in depth. But I do want to share here, because I think this is also an educational piece, that we can sort of understand what sort of real estate blockchain companies are in this space today. So what we found through our research is that typically there's 3 types of real estate